everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is my colleague, Forbes reporter Matt Craig. Matt, thanks so much for joining me.
Brittany, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It is always a pleasure, and I want to talk about some recent reporting you have about J.K. Rowling, the woman who was responsible for a fixture in many of our childhoods. You're reporting she is now once again a billionaire, so that insinuates that she did fall off the billionaires list for a stint, which we will get into. But first, I want to walk down memory lane, if you will. Talk to us about how she made that money from her bread and butter, Harry Potter.
Yeah, so it's an incredible rags to riches story that I'm sure has been told many, many times. But she was a single mother living in Scotland, pretty much on welfare, and she said as close to being homeless as you could be in modern day United Kingdom. And then she writes the first Harry Potter book, and it absolutely takes off. She knocks out 3 more in the next 3 years. And by the time 2001 rolls around and the first Harry Potter movie comes out, she's already sold 100 million copies of Harry Potter, and Pottermania takes off like crazy for the next 10 years. And Forbes actually first named her billionaire in 2004, which would have been almost entirely based on her book sales. So that just shows you the amount of books that she was moving at that time. And the thing about, when you have a long running series is each time new books come out, people buy the original books and things just compounded on each other. Of course, the movies at the time of their end in 2011 were the highest grossing film franchise in history, over $7 billion at the box office. So I think the overall takeaway here is anything that has carried the name Harry Potter on it since 1997 has pretty much been a giant financial success. And every time that happens, J.K. Rowling's been paid handsomely for it.
So she's been paid handsomely for all things related to Harry Potter, but she did fall off the billionaires list. What happened?
Right. So on the billionaires list from 2004 until 2011, and in 2012, Forbes found out that she had donated substantial money to a couple different charities, and we can talk about those, but was previously not discovered. Also, she's come out very publicly and said that she is living in the United Kingdom. She wants to pay the highest income tax that's she has to pay there, and that's different than a lot of other high earners who have found other ways to, dodge high income taxes over the years. And so the combination of those two things brought her wealth down lower than what the Forbes estimates were at the time. Since then, I guess the impressive thing is obviously no more Harry Potter books have come out other than, some extensions. No additional Harry Potter movies have come out since 2012. And yet from 2012 to 2025, last 13 years, she has continued to build that Harry Potter business to heights that it really has never seen before, and is healthier than it's ever been. And we can talk about some of the brand extensions that she's had since that time. But she is making as much money now as she did at the heights of Pottermania, and that has rebuilt her wealth to now Forbes is estimating she's worth $1.2 billion.
I mean, that's just incredible. There have been spin-offs and plays and games and theme parks. So talk to us a little bit about how she's really expanded her Wizarding World business.
Yeah, it is honestly impressive. It's a model that other giant franchises envy and probably will look to copy. But that first Wizarding World, I think the thing that set it off was that very first Wizarding World attraction at Islands of Adventure, which is one of the Universal theme parks in Orlando. It caused a 36% increase in attendance in the first quarter that it was open. And one person I talked to said, there has never been another attraction that has caused a theme park's attendance to go up by 36%. The revenues for that year were down for the year. Through the first 6 months, that park opens, and on the year, they were up 40%. And so Comcast, the company that eventually would buy Universal, said that moment was transformational to the company. And since then, they've put a Wizarding World, as you would expect, they put a Wizarding World attraction in every theme park that they could. There's 3 of them in the 3 Orlando theme parks. There's one in Tokyo. There's one in Beijing. Everywhere that they would have a theme park, there's a Wizarding World attraction. And every time you buy a butterbeer or a wand or a sorting hat, at the gift shop, J.K. Rowling is getting a very, very small piece of that puzzle. So I would say theme parks is, outside of book sales, the biggest earner for J.K. Rowling. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. As you mentioned, there's a stage play, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, that opened in 2016 on West End, and now it's come to Broadway. It's done productions all over the world, and there's been art exhibitions, and there's been interactive. The costumes from the movie will tour around, and people will go to see them. And there's been a video game that was one of the best-selling video games of 2023, actually the best-selling video game of 2023. And so, yes, there's children's books that come out at Christmas. It is a universe of products, and each time, I guess the thing you have to remember is, like, every year people come of age to be introduced to that world again, to read the books, to watch the movies, and then they become consumers of the wider world of Harry Potter.
Matt, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I always feel this sense of nostalgia when I'm talking about Harry Potter because it is a slice of childhood. I remember reading the books when they came out. I remember going to the midnight showings of the movies the day that they came into the theaters. And millennials really were coming of age when these books were coming out. And now that generation has grown up. Some of us have kids of our own. So why do you think that the Harry Potter brand is still so strong today, even though it's more than 25 years later?
Yeah, well, first of all, you're absolutely spot on. And just to put some statistics behind that, I talked to this data analytics firm, consulting firm called Habbo Studio. And of all the IPs in the United States, things like Marvel, Star Wars, take your pick. Harry Potter is the sixth strongest brand in all entertainment. But among millennial generation, it was the number one brand. And I think that speaks to the massive success that it had in its time. And we haven't yet talked about the fact that they're rebooting the movies, the original books, into an HBO Max series. And for a lot of millennials, let's say, a little bit older than us, they have kids who are now, those kids are coming of age as these new TV shows come out. And then they'll be introduced to a whole new generation of Harry Potter fans. And their appointment viewing will be Sunday nights on HBO, watching the new, episode. Kind of like, I guess, what Game of Thrones would be, for us. That would, if that is that level of success, I'm sure Warner Brothers would be thrilled. But yes, there is certainly playing on nostalgia. There's certainly, remembering when you were 13 and, you were the age of Harry Potter, right? So I think that, like, there is an unending market of 13-year-olds, every year who are ready to, like, create their own nostalgia. And the amazing thing about Harry Potter is it just hasn't gotten aged out. It hasn't gotten replaced, at least entirely, by whatever this new generation's version of it is, whether it's the Minions or Fortnite or whatever. Those things obviously are hugely popular, but the kids today are still loving Harry Potter the way we were when it was first coming out. So I guess I would say that it is, if you are coming up from a very cynical angle, a great business plan to have a hugely popular young adult series like this.
And I think that J.K. Rowling, the author and the creator of Harry Potter and the surrounding world around it, she's just so linked, obviously, one synonymous with the other. And it kind of reminds me of conversations I've had with one of our Forbes colleagues, Alan Owensman, about Elon Musk, because he's so linked to the brand Tesla. He's had recent controversial actions, some bad posts, and now Tesla's brand is suffering. J.K. Rowling found herself in some controversy of her own. She's waded into the culture wars. Talk to us about that first, and second, how has that impacted the brand?
Right. So I think when this started happening in 2019 and 2020, a lot of fans of Harry Potter were very surprised that J.K. Rowling came out so vocally, or at least as it appears, against the transgender community. And she sees that as a standing up for women, like a pro-women's stance. However, a lot of people, in the LGBTQ community saw Harry Potter in that series and those characters as kind of like a safe space, and they saw J.K. Rowling as an ally, I think. And when those posts started coming out, there was surprise and shock. And as she's continued to just double down on them for the last 5 years, I think that, there are fans that feel like, that bond has been broken with Harry Potter. And I remember when the Fantastic Beasts movies were coming out, there was a call for boycotts of them. And one of the three movies, the third one, Didn't perform very well. You could say it was because of that. You could also say it was the third movie of a spin-off series that people didn't love the first two. I mean, there's plenty of other reasons. And the reason why I would look for other reasons is because really none of this has affected her business. All of the things I mentioned, the theme park and the play, the stage productions all over the world, and the video game coming out, have continued to just roll on, full steam ahead with absolutely no hesitations because of the posts, usually on X, that J.K. Rowling has made. HBO Max, Casey Bloys has been asked specifically about these posts on numerous occasions, and every time he's like, she's entitled to her opinions, and you can debate her on Twitter, but we have no problems working with her. HBO, in fact, produced a show about her adult detective novels, not related to Harry Potter, so they love being in the J.K. Rowling business. And I think for stars of her caliber, that continue to be huge producers, they are kind of bulletproof from a lot of that criticism. I think that's kind of how showbiz has always worked. I do think that the other important point that you brought up there is just how tightly she's kept control of the series. So when I think about, like Marvel and Star Wars over recent years, there's been complaints from the fan base about a diluted product because they launched so many shows on Disney Plus, and you felt like you had to watch 100 hours of these small shows in order to understand what's going on in the movies, and it kind of got all just jumbled up. From the beginning, J.K. Rowling has been incredibly protective of the Harry Potter brand, of her characters. She had worked into her contract this provision that said you can't produce any other movies or projects as extension of the Harry Potter world without my sign off, and so that stopped a lot of projects from happening. And ultimately, that actually is the reason why HBO Max is now remaking the original books and the original movies, is that Warner Brothers does have the rights to those original stories from the first time they made the movies, and they do not have permission without her say so of creating new Harry Potter stories. And so that's ultimately why they're rebooting it. But J.K. Rowling's tight control creatively over the Harry Potter world is part of the reason why it hasn't gotten diluted, and is why people still love it to this day.
So her controversial posts, I mean, it seems like aside from seemingly ruining or tainting her relationship with the OG Harry Potter cast, some of them, it didn't impact her bottom line because she crossed the billionaire threshold post these posts. So talk to us about her financial future here. Just how bright is that looking?
Yes, so I completely agree with you. What's amazing is that she goes out of her way to engage with people, that are just commenting on this, or maybe they're posting a news story unrelated to her, and she'll jump in and quote tweet. And of course, she has a massive audience, and so it blows up into a big thing. And she will just, celebrate her success, seemingly rubbing it in people's faces. So she really, it's not just a matter of not backing down. She really actively going out
she
there. And
relishes it. Yeah, she relishes it.
She really does. I mean, one of the examples we use in the story is her toasting a drink and smoking a cigar, after the United Kingdom Supreme Court ruled that, essentially gender fundamentalism was the law of the land. She went on social media to celebrate that, right? So yes, she's not changing her opinions, and that's not changing her business, I guess would be the two things I would say. This new HBO Max show is going to continue to line her pockets just from an IP standpoint, or being an executive producer on the show standpoint, and then the lift that it's going to give to all the other pieces of the ecosystem will probably be quite substantial. And so, yes, she is as well positioned as you could be as an IP owner. I mean, when you think about, right, George Lucas sold out of Star Wars, and now anything that happens Star Wars wise, he's only very, very tangentially related to that. Marvel doesn't really have a central. I mean, Kevin Feige is overseeing it for Disney, but it's not his characters to begin with. J.K. Rowling is somewhat unique in the IP world, where she is the central spoke in the wheel of all things Harry Potter. And so as long as Harry Potter continues to be popular, which is going to be a very, very long time, she will continue to be, very, very influential.
Matt, Craig, I always enjoy our conversations. Thank you for your reporting. I hope to talk to you soon.
Thanks, Brittany. Always appreciate it.